Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Admiration, where we are looking at an ad that's been used in the US for Fabuloso, a household cleaning brand. I guess before we start, we can say it's more than an ad though, right, Isa? We've looked at an individual ad, but tell us a little bit more about the campaign around it.
They essentially created a whole series. They make it into a telenovela. So the Fabuloso has a Hispanic origin, and they're really playing up to their heritage, almost like playing up um, brand stories as a telenovela, putting the product as the main character. And we can talk about a bit about the different types of stories that they're telling after we see the ad that we looked into. This
Nice. Let's watch that ad first then.
Yeah, let's go for it.
He still doesn't remember us, Bruno. Fabuloso. Fabuloso. The honeymoon. The accident. Mi amor.
Long-lasting freshness to take the drama out of any mess. Fabuloso, dramatically clean.
So there you go. The whole of the series is structured around the Fabulosos, which is a family, including all sorts of people you would find in kind of like a large conflicting family. You've got the grandma and her young boyfriend. You've got kind of like the young lovers, the cousins, the uncles and aunts, and so on. And every ad is essentially a mini episode of this telenovela, which tells a little a little story. So we've seen the one where husband gets into an accident. Obviously, the wife opens a bottle of Fabuloso and suddenly he remembers everything from before the accident. There's one about the whole family fighting, and when the grandma opens a bottle of Fabuloso, they all kind of like come together. And so on. There's multiple different scenarios that they include, and they are all highly humorous and out there and dramatic, which make them really engaging.
I was going to say exactly that. Dramatic seemed to be the word, which is very interesting because often household cleaning ads can be quite dull and really dramatize what they do in quite a dull way. This is certainly the opposite to that, and certainly an example of a brand going above and beyond creating an ad to actually creating a full campaign across media as a whole series and really taking their kind of role seriously. Should we have a look at the results?
Yeah, let's do it. So there we've got it. I mean, we can see how actually making your brand or your product the main character of a well-told, clear story with an engaging narrative is highly effective. We can see that both from a sales impact, which is huge, sitting in the top 1% of all ads that we tested in the US, but also from a brand impact perspective as well. You can see that great unaided brand recall in there, the uniqueness of the brand impressions coming through, this like people feeling like the ad could only be for Fabuloso, and really setting the brand apart from others as well in the category.
Yeah, and it's certainly that kind of unique approach, as we say, that you wouldn't expect, that kind of is quite breakthrough for the category, but also quite true to the brand and its origins and everything that you talked about, which is quite compelling. I think it's also really interesting just looking at the ad distinctiveness. Again, it's another way of just understanding how breakthrough and different it is, like unexpected for the category. And whilst it can be unexpected for the category, it still fits with the brand, which is quite a nice combination to hit. And
Yeah.
we don't need to dive too much into it, but I can see the emotions also high. Is that love or laughter or something
It
else?
it's both. I mean, all positive emotions were being kind of evoked from the ad. We got a lot of laughter, a lot of love, some general kind of likes, and also a level of surprise as well. I
Right.
guess like that shock element of what's happening next, and this man is in a coma or he's injured, and the dog coming through and making everything dirty, and him suddenly remembering everything. The dramatization of it, I guess, like makes those like different peaks of emotion. But love and laughter were definitely top two. And it's interesting because the same moments that elicited like a high level of humor also elicited quite a high level of love, making the ad just really lovable and kind of like enjoyable throughout.
Yeah, that's quite interesting, isn't it? Because quite often we see it's different scenes that generate the love versus the laughter as we go. So this one was quite unique in that regard, that it was
Yeah.
like funny but also lovable, exactly as you've said. The bit
Yeah.
I'd like to dive deeper on, I guess because I found it a very interesting way of dramatizing what the brand had to offer in a highly engaging way. Do people understand about the brand, like beyond obviously its character, which I guess is pretty obvious? Do they understand what the brand offers in a more functional way, in spite of having dramatized it in a more creative way?
Yeah, definitely. I think as much as the ad is quite silly and is designed for people to just have a bit of a laugh with it, it also does a really, really great job at telling the brand story and really conveying the benefits of the product. So the clear two are it cleans effectively and it smells great, which is essentially what's coming through when we ask people to replay what the key message of the ad was. We can see the words there really clearly: clean, smells good, the scent, fresh. The element of remembering like this smell being so strong that it actually kind of drives a memory or it connects to something else, which is quite interesting. But say if we clicked here on the clean one, it's a great cleaning product with a variety of scent. Fabuloso gets the job done when it comes to cleaning floors to kitchen tables, etc. So as much as it's just showing the product cleaning floors, people make that assumption about it cleaning other surfaces as well. It smells so good, it's a good cleaning agent, and so on.
And whilst it's like over the top, deliberately so, of course, it's like part of the humor of the telenovela, which are all very dramatic.
Yeah.
It's the fact that it's quite funny how it almost like plays on that to take the drama out of it and talk about how the product can actually take drama out of your life and be easy to use and effective. But also one of the things we talk about a lot is heroing the product. So this for me is a really great example because the product is the hero. It brings him out of his coma. Obviously, remembering that smell brings back and awakens his memories, which is the product of the hero. But you almost don't think too hard about that. So it's not over claiming its role or anything else. It's just visually and storytelling to get that across, which I think is hugely powerful. And just going back to something that I said at the start, if you think about how many ads you've seen for household cleaning products that try and dramatize how they remove odor from carpets or how they do this, in a really dull way, whereas this is like a whole series of ads that take a really engaging route for helping you realize that the brand character is a piece of you and something that you want to be associated with, and that it's a highly effective product.
Yeah, definitely. I think all kind of categories that sit within the kind of macro category of care, generally, like personal care, home care, everything associated to them is quite boring. And when they communicate, the majority end up being quite boring as well, because how you use the products doesn't really have much excitement around them. And I think if you separate home care and personal care, I think home care brands attempt more so to bring a bit of like flair to their advertising, but as you say, it's few of them that are actually effective in doing so. I keep thinking about different brands that have kind of like tried the approach, like Flash in the UK, they use the kind of like labradoodle and they have like very catchy jingle, try to like dramatize the whole process. Toilet Duck, Mr. Marcel, they're all kind of entertaining ads to some extent, but they don't come close to this one in terms of the level of brand fit, how they actually communicate the benefits, and just like how true to the brand it feels overall.
Yeah, you don't expect a high level of distinctiveness necessarily for this particular category. So again, it's another really great example of don't be constrained by what you think the category can achieve. And just because your product may not be in an interesting category doesn't mean that you can't make your stories interesting and engaging in such a way that actually you overcome all of those kind of stereotypes of the dull type of advertising that you might expect within that category. And I guess the other thing that we saw, which I guess relates to this and the emotional response, was that really high purchase uplift score. So the number of people who thought that they would buy the brand after having seen the ad versus before. If we just dive a bit deeper on that, it looked pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was massive. I mean, before watching the ad, when we asked people what brand they would choose the next time they're buying kind of like a surface care product, only 9% of the audience selected Fabuloso. After watching the ad, that rose to 48%. That's almost half of our audience saying that they would be likely to buy the brand after watching the ad the next time they're buying into that sort of product. So it showcases how well that message comes across, and the love that the brand is trying to build among the audience as well. I think we saw within the likes a couple of people who were saying they already use the brand and they love it, but there was a bunch of other people who were saying, oh, it was just so funny, like it showcased the product so well that it made me want to go out and get it. And especially because of the smell side of things as well, like it feels like it's gonna smell great. If you don't know what it smells like, you might be curious to at least like go into store and like see what see what the product actually is like.
Yeah, I guess we haven't discussed that, but it's quite a hard thing to dramatize a smell. You know, smells great, but actually the way that they've done it again in that story really does bring to life the idea that it's very strong smelling and that it's very pleasantly smelling, and the whole, you know, which is quite wonderful. Well, this is very, very impressive to see. I guess to like sum up, if we were just to take out some kind of learnings here, I think it's super interesting just to think for your brand about how you can dramatize what your brand's all about and what it offers, but in a highly creative and distinctive way. Show people and tell a story around it rather than telling people about what it is that your brand does. And the other key point, I guess, is about thinking about your brand values and your brand character, because you don't have to say what that is. Like, your ad dramatizes that for you. And I guess what they've done really nicely here is make people feel really positive about wanting to be part of that brand whilst also believing what the brand does. And that works obviously for existing users and, like you just mentioned, also to recruit in new ones. Anything you'd add, Isa?
I think you covered it pretty well, Kim. I think it's all about finding that unique aspect of your brand, and finding a way of creatively expressing that in communications where it's engaging for both your existing customers and the customers you're trying to attract. And that's what's going to make you distinctive beyond your competitors.
And maybe just leave with, don't be limited by how exciting or dull you might think your category is. People get pretty excited about buying cars, and yet a lot of the car ads are exceptionally dull and all do the same thing. And here's a household cleaning brand that really brings that that excitement to it, which is wonderful to see. Excellent. Well, thank you, Isa, and we'll be back again next week.